Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 318 for October 17th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the last two undefeated teams in the NFL experienced the bitter taste of defeat. The National Arena League released its 2024 schedule, and flag football is now officially part of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son Adam.
Boy, oh boy, how the mighty have fallen and how the mainstream media started talking about our Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I've seen that. Well, they're tied with 4 or 5 other teams for the best record in the NFL, 5-1.
There's 5 teams that are 5-1. Detroit being amongst them.
I could see maybe one of those 2 undefeated teams losing, but not both of them in the same
in the
weekend.
same day. Yeah, none of it. If you watch our picks videos, who saw that coming?
Obviously not us.
Well, Aaron was close to actually picking the Eagles upset.
Yeah.
We have it on video. He even texted us after that game and
Yep.
said, "I knew I made a mistake not picking the Jets." So, I mean, it's the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. Like,
Right.
anybody could fall. And it's not like the 49ers were so bad that they couldn't have won. I mean,
Right.
unfortunately for our good friend Jake Moody, who we wanted in Detroit.
Yeah, our close personal friend.
Jake
Yeah.
Moody. We'll just say he's a friend of a friend. But
missed field goal. I mean, he
field
barely
goal,
missed that. I mean,
barely,
it's not like it was.
and it's not
way
like
wide.
I mean, he makes it. The Niners are undefeated, and everybody still
Right.
talking about how great they
Right.
are, and they overcame a great defense.
Yep.
That's just how the NFL is. And like even that Lions game, we'll talk about it in a little bit. That could have easily swung in the other direction. I mean, I talked about it with Kyle on our Just Lying Around show, but without further ado, I know it's a lot of Lions talk off the top. Get used to it. The season keeps
We're
going
excited. We're
like
excited.
this, but yeah, maybe we should keep it moving.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Susan. Keep it moving.
I don't even want to ask what that was all about. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. We also want to keep an eye on where our listeners are, and for the last week or so, we've been asking folks to let us know what country, city, or state you're in. We've heard from people in Australia, England, Japan, and Canada, and last week we also heard from Stephen, who says he's listening to us in Sacramento, California. So thank you, Stephen, for letting us know that you're out there. We've known you're out there. I've seen your name a few times, but it's nice to know where these folks are at. So
we appreciate you listening.
Yeah. So we're going to keep this going for a few more weeks, see who wants to respond. And
he'll stop at the moment people stop talking to him. So give him acknowledgement, everybody. That's what he lives off of.
Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel with the handle @theworldoffootball, as well as other selected videos like our Just Lying Around podcast, a Detroit Lions podcast featuring Kyle and Adam. This week was the Week 6 review of the Buccaneers game.
Yep.
And no shenanigans from Kyle this week, just straight up.
Unfortunately, no Kyle shenanigans. I mean, the calm is always, calm before the storm.
Right.
So
well,
see.
there's always next week.
We'll see. If they win another one, he might just absolutely lose his stinking mind. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, we also have our weekly picks coming up, which we're going to be recording later on tonight with Aaron.
Yep, and that'll be up sometime Wednesday.
Yep.
And then we have also, you did an interview this week.
Yes, I did.
And I have been slowly editing that the last night. I'll have to do a little more tonight, and maybe by the weekend we'll have it out there for people. Can you tell us who it was you talked to?
Yes, I spoke with author Greg Fasseri, who's written a book called Gridiron Legacy, Pro Football's Missing Origin Story, and that'll be up as a YouTube video. We had a nice little conversation for about a half an hour, and he told me all about the book that he's written, and sounds like a real fascinating story. So Look for that in the next few days when Adam gets around to it.
Hey, like I said, I got about a third of the way through it yesterday, mostly edited. I'm at least kind of going through the interview right now, doing the cuts back and forth. So it'll be a fine product. Just give me a few days.
You just don't want to see me on the screen for the whole 30 minutes.
Well, it's not about you, is it?
Sometimes. All right, so let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It was week 6 in the National Football League. And boy, so much craziness this week. There's always something crazy happening in the NFL.
Yep.
And this week is no different. But it started Thursday night and saw the Kansas City Chiefs take care of the Denver Broncos 19-8. I am almost there to call the Broncos what I've already called the Giants, which is put a fork in them. They're done. There's still something about this Bronco team where I think maybe they could still get it turned around.
They'll win a few games.
They still have a decent enough defense. I mean, you hold Kansas City to 19 points. That's nothing to slouch on. But what is up with Russell Wilson? Is he's just a shadow of his former self.
Yeah.
Sean Payton, I think, is still a great coach, but he has just inherited a mess there in Denver.
Right, yeah.
And so I don't know if they're going to be able to right that ship this season or not. We'll have to keep an eye on it. And if you're Kansas City, a win's a win's a win.
Sure.
Doesn't matter how you win, as long as you get the W. And the Chiefs are 5-1, and all they do is win, except against the Lions. I'm just we're moving on. Then we had another London game, the final London game of the 2023 season, as the Baltimore Ravens took care of the Tennessee Titans 24-6. Now this game, the score's a lot closer than what it felt like. For the first half, the Ravens seemed like they were in control. I don't know if you got up early to watch it. I did. I got up early. I made myself some steak and eggs and watched the game in the wee hours of the morning here on the East Coast.
No bangers and mash.
No bangers and mash. No biscuits and gravies you like to do getting up there for those.
Thing to do.
But I thought the Titans, came back. They looked pretty good. Derrick Henry got a great touchdown there in the second half and almost made it a game, but the Ravens held on and advanced, to 4-2, and that's who the Lions will play this week.
I did not watch any of that game.
No, it was all right. Like Lamar didn't run as much as you thought, but there were a couple series where they get down to the end zone and they just relied on him to kind of make some plays with his feet, and he still got it. Lamar is a dangerous quarterback. He's still, as long as he's not getting hurt, that dude is a dangerous man.
Yep.
All right, the Washington Commanders got a 24-16 win over the Atlanta Falcons. And I watched this game. The Chicago Bears fell to the Minnesota Vikings 19-13. What an ugly game. This was just one of the absolute hardest games I've ever had to watch.
I watched a little bit of it, not too much at all.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields getting hurt. The backup rookie quarterback coming in. He looked okay at times, but still made a couple mistakes. He had one heck of a throw where he was like throwing it across his body, way across the field, and a receiver still somehow managed to come back and get it. I thought he was just heaving it out of bounds, but the guy made a great catch and almost kept the drive alive. It was like not for a first down, but then I think they got the first down, then they turned the ball over. But yeah, so two bad teams at the bottom of the NFC North there playing against each other. I'm not scared of either of those teams after watching them on that Sunday. Again, the Vikings, though, they get a win. It's a one-score game. They had the 11 last year. Now this year, I think they're 2-4 in one-score games, and so they're 2-4 on the season. I think all their games have been by one score. So the Vikings are still playing close games,
right?
But they, not coming out on top of all of them like they did last year. The Cincinnati Bengals, have they turned a corner? They beat the Seahawks 17-13 in Cincinnati. I didn't catch any highlights from this, but I mean, Joe Burrow sounds like he's kind of back to full strength. So watch out for the Bengals.
I saw a couple of highlights. Burrow looked like he's getting better. Early in the season he couldn't do anything.
Well, yeah, he was still dealing with a calf injury or hamstring or whatever.
But he's playing better.
If he's fully healthy, watch out. Yeah,
I don't know if he's 100%, but
and I don't know if this Bengal team is going to be what they've looked like the last couple of years.
Right.
So they're a team to keep an eye on. I'm not ready to say they turned the corner and watch out for them, but I'm at least saying let's not doubt them yet.
Right.
But the Seahawks, surprised they only got 13 points in that game. The Seahawks, I thought, were one of the better teams in the league. Then the San Francisco 49ers dropped their first game of the season to the Cleveland Browns, 19-17. We mentioned it earlier. Jake Moody missed a 41-yard field goal as time expired to give the Browns the win. Cleveland's defense is legit. I wondered if they would give San Francisco some fits, but San Francisco lost McCaffrey. They lost Deebo Samuel during the game. A lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, to kind of make something happen. And it sounds like, despite them losing, he still got the team down the field in position to kick the field goal.
Right.
So Purdy, I think a lot of people are seeing that he's not. I won't say he's not a great quarterback. I think he's still a good quarterback. I just don't know if he's, top 10 quarterback, but he's working in that system and he's got great weapons. And once those weapons went down, it's clear that that's not the same team, but he's still a solid guy under center.
Right.
And I don't want to dog the kid. I mean, he's been playing pretty great.
It was his first regular season loss as starting quarterback of the 49ers. So he's got that going for him.
I guess. And we'll see if they are without Samuel and without McCaffrey, how much that'll affect them in the coming weeks. How about this? The Houston Texans getting a 20-13 win over the New Orleans Saints with rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, who continues to look like the best quarterback prospect out of that draft class. And against a Saints defense, which is also a pretty good defense in the league. And Derek Carr, I don't know if something's up with him. And I thought that Saints offense would be a little bit more explosive, but to only get 13 points. I didn't see much from this game, but just a little surprising there from them. In the Gardner Minshew Bowl, the Jaguars proved they made the right decision with continuing to go with Trevor Lawrence, 37-20 over the Indianapolis Colts. I think Lawrence got hurt actually during the game. I'm not sure what his status is, or if it's just like a little nick up, but he was on the injury report at the end of that game. Then the Miami Dolphins were down 14-0 at one point to the winless Carolina Panthers. And as good teams do, they came back, clawed back, and got the 42-21 victory over the Panthers. In the blink of an eye, it seemed like. The Dolphins can just score points almost, it seems, at will.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I think the Dolphins are a good team. They've been hanging up a lot of points, creating a lot of records, but I don't know if they're the team everybody thinks they are. They put up a lot of points against bad defenses. Once they play legit defenses, I wonder if that's going to be stifled a little bit. But again, the Dolphins are a fun team to watch regardless. The Raiders got a victory over the New England Patriots, 21-17 out there in Las Vegas. Jimmy Garoppolo went down during that game.
Yeah, that's
Haven't heard status on how he's doing.
Everybody's beating up on New England right now, so it's not a.
And New England at 1-5. Now there's all the will they fire Belichick talk. It's getting ugly.
I don't think they'll fire him. I think he's earned the right to stay on if he wants to. But
I mean, after 3 seasons of not being able to, kind of get the shit back together. I mean,
I don't know.
I think they haven't made the playoffs since Brady left. Like I don't know. I can't feel too bad for New England or their fans because you guys got the 20 years of being practically the best franchise in the sport.
It'd be as ridiculous as somebody firing Tom Landry when they took over the team,
or somebody getting rid of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
I mean, what idiot would do that?
Really, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So I think Belichick's job is safe.
You think?
I think so.
I don't know. I think after Brady's gone and he can't, win without Brady, I just feel like you got to move on. I mean, we've seen teams with like, what was it? After the Eagles won that Super Bowl with Doug Peterson as their head coach, they moved on from him like a year or two after that. Like, you win a Super Bowl doesn't guarantee. I mean, yeah, sure, you win 6 of them. I think he's had a big leash, but I think the last few years has proven that without Tom Brady there, he's at a loss. Either that, and I think he's made some weird personnel decisions. I think he's made a lot of weird decisions on his staff and with player personnel. And I don't know if it's true. Did they draft 2 kickers in the last draft?
I don't know.
I heard Colin. I think Colin Cowherd. I don't know if he was just making a joke. He said they drafted 3 guards, or I think it was like 3 linemen and 2 kickers. And he's like, what's going on? And I don't know if that's true or not. I meant to go look it up to see, did they actually draft 2 kickers, or is it just a joke? But
well, the only thing bad I can say about Belichick is he brought back Matt Patricia after he left the Lions, and Matt Patricia is still there with him. So
no, he's not. Patricia's with the Eagles.
Is he?
Yeah, he's with the Eagles because there was a story about Darius Slay, because him and Slay obviously had their issues in Detroit. So yeah, he's with Philadelphia now.
Oh, okay.
Way to keep up, Randy. Speaking of keeping up, now it's time to keep up with our beloved Detroit Lions, as it's time for our weekly segment that we like to call Suck on Those Eggs, Tampa Bay, as the Detroit Lions defeated the Buccaneers 20-6 in a game that, hey, as a Lions fan, I will openly admit, could have easily gone the other way because Baker Mayfield had a chance to throw a 90-yard touchdown pass that got deflected and intercepted.
Yep.
We all saw it. Mike Evans was wide open with nothing but green grass. Had that pass been completed, he'd have been gone.
Yep.
I admit that. There were 2 other passes he threw that were, if that receiver who was running down the field would have got him in the tippy tips of his fingers, he probably would have ran for a touchdown as well. That's at least 2 other touchdowns he probably missed. So there would have been 3 touchdowns there for the Bucs that they just didn't get.
Yeah, both of the defenses were playing so well that
Great
they
defense.
stymied each other's offense to no end. I mean,
called it a boxing match.
Detroit couldn't do anything in the beginning, and Tampa Bay couldn't do anything in the beginning.
It was
Tampa Bay looked great in those old creamsicle
great
uniforms.
uniforms.
I love those. Love those.
They just can't win in them.
Well, that's
I think they talked about that on Good Morning Football. They said since they brought the uniforms back after 96, I think when they switched to the current uniforms, or 97, whenever they did that, they brought them back in like 2009 as throwbacks. And since then, when they busted them out, they were 1-4.
Yeah, they said they haven't worn them since 2012, I think.
Yeah.
Was the last time they wore one.
But even then, like
it's still a good look.
It's a good look. And I like that they decked the whole stadium out. I like that they did the field up. It looked great. I even went to play Madden, and I had the Buccaneers wearing that, and I had them playing the Lions. I don't know if I could change the field or not. I wanted to, but it was still like the normal Tampa Bay field with the red flag.
But the graphic on the screen still showed their old logo.
Yeah, that's a Fox thing.
Yeah, why couldn't they have?
Because they're too lazy. They're like, we aren't going to insert that.
Jeez.
Unlike the World of Football's weekly NFL picks, where I try to find out and make sure that if they're ever in a retro logo, I'm going to try to put it on the screen if I remember.
Yeah, it's all about you, son, isn't it?
Like, I didn't realize, and we'll talk about it in a second, I didn't realize the Cowboys were wearing their alternate helmets this week.
I noticed that last night.
Which is like, I actually like the white helmet.
Yeah.
I like that white helmet.
Original.
We'll talk about them in a second. But we're talking about the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yeah.
It was a boxing match.
Yes,
it was 2 teams at first, those defenses feeling each other out. Those offenses not sure what they were trying to do. Missed opportunities kind of on both teams at first. Like, Detroit couldn't get much going. Baker couldn't complete any passes. And then the floodgates opened up when Detroit got that Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown.
Thanks to Craig
Reynolds coming through and giving a heck of a block.
Man, I love watching that replay.
It's been great.
He came out of nowhere. I mean, he was behind Amon-Ra when he caught the ball, and he raced ahead of him, and not just blocked one guy, but he got in the way of 3 guys on that play.
Yeah, but he had that one big hit that really opened up the sideline for Amon-Ra to just tiptoe his way to the end.
Yep.
Great highlight. And, of course, the Lions' other touchdown, the 45-yard bomb to Jamison Williams, where he's like looking, which way am I looking? Where's the ball falling?
Is it over here? Is it over there? Yeah,
nope, I got it. And then he just...
I thought he didn't know, he didn't have a clue where it was, and he wasn't going to catch it, and all of a sudden, boom, it's right in his hand.
It was heck of effort by him. Great play. Jared Goff just putting it in a spot that, maybe a defender could have got it, but that defender was so scared. He's like, oh no, I have to catch up to this guy. He's probably not even thinking about looking back for the ball.
I don't think he was looking for the ball. He
wasn't
strictly playing.
I was watching some, the talking head shows, and I think it was the Undisputed with Skip Bayless had Michael Irvin, and he had Richard Sherman. And Richard Sherman, former defensive back, because like Skip Bayless was like, well, why didn't the Tampa Bay player just turn around and look for the ball? And Richard Sherman's trying to explain, look, that you're in panic mode at that point. You see Jamison Williams fly by you, and you're just trying to catch up to you're just looking at his hands. Like, you're looking to where you could, like, stop him from getting the ball right there. But Jamison did do that thing where he looked one way, looked the other. I don't know if that threw the player off for just a fraction of a second. And then he caught it, because he did get a hand on it a little bit, but Jamison was able to pull it into his body.
Right, yeah.
I mean, heck of a play. But, yeah, in that second, if you turned around to look for that ball, even if he would have done that, he probably would have lost a step. I mean, your brain's trying to recognize where this ball is. I'm sure that a lot of stuff happens, on a football field in milliseconds. So right. I don't know if that would have worked, but it was just fascinating to hear Richard Sherman explain why just simply turning around and looking for the ball isn't going to work when you're in panic mode and you're tracking down one of the fastest receivers in the league.
Yeah.
But heck of a play and heck of a win for Detroit, who you're going to hear, if you're listening to this podcast, we're Lions fans. So we're going to take a second to talk about our beloved Detroit Lions. But it is nice to see a little bit of national attention. Chris Sims on Pro Football, or what is it, Sunday Night in America, whatever that show is before the Sunday night game, saying on national television in front of millions of people, the Detroit Lions are Super Bowl contenders. Never in my life have I heard those words uttered.
No.
Except in our wildest fantasies and occasionally in fever dreams. But I mean,
we don't know how to handle this. We don't know how to handle the attention, the positive comments. Normally, Detroit is totally ignored by all the national media because they're an afterthought. They're just there to make somebody else look good on the field.
If it weren't for the 2 unbeaten teams going down, Detroit may have been top story because it's the 4th week in a row they've won by double, 2 touchdowns. I wonder if that would have been a lead story. The Lions did what they needed to do, but you had 2 other teams. Yeah, the big teams went down. It's starting to get to that point where the Lions could be the headline soon if they keep winning.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you one question real quick, and we'll move on because we spend a lot of time talking about
half the show is Lions talk.
Yes,
today.
I mean that's why we have Just Lying Around. Check it out on your local podcast feeds or in the YouTube channel. But I digress. Do you still find yourself fighting the old Lions stigma? Like, how are we going to screw this up? Or
a little bit.
I still am there too. Yeah, like I'm with you, but I haven't really felt it as bad as the Green Bay game when they started coming back, and that thing in the pit of my stomach that said, "Oh no, here we go again." But the Lions have been able to kind of keep that at bay. And there was a little bit of that maybe at the beginning of the Tampa game because it was just so tight of a game that was like, I don't know which way this game's going to go. And once Detroit started to score and kind of hold their own, I felt more comfortable. And it's a weird feeling for me as a Lions fan to be like, they got this. To sit there and have that much confidence in my team to go, I am not worried about them right now blowing a 14-point lead. I'm not worried about them letting up a couple of big plays. Like, the Buccaneers had like a couple of 20-yard passes and a couple of points. I was never like, we screwed up. We're done. We're cooked.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's the way I'm looking at it is, yes, I'm still afraid that the other shoe is going to drop sometime. But at the same time, I feel like this team legitimately can win just about any game. They're going to be in every game.
Yeah.
And that's something that we didn't have before. There were games when we knew they didn't have a chance against this team. They're going to lose so bad. But I legitimately think that this year, with this team and this coach, they are going to be in every game right to the end. And they may lose a few here and there, but the only game that they've lost so far was an overtime game where they didn't touch the ball in overtime.
That's what I keep saying.
That's hard to believe.
They are a coin flip away from being a 6-0 football team.
Right.
I literally think because that Seattle team was so good, Detroit was still good, but whoever got the ball in overtime, it just seemed like that was the team that was going to win.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing with the way NFL overtime is.
Yeah. Yeah, had Detroit gotten the ball, I think they would have matched them score by score, score for score in overtime. So who knows what would have happened? But they never got that chance.
Which is, that's the way the rule is.
That's the way the rule
they lost
is.
the game, but they were in it.
Yep. But they came from behind to tie it up to send it to overtime, and then they didn't get the ball in overtime at all. So. Just one of those things.
Yeah, we know that there'll probably be even that Baltimore game this weekend. I'm really nervous about. It's kind of how I felt about Tampa. Like, I think they have a good team. I think Detroit can win, but I am like, it will not shock me if they lose. And I don't know if I would be too upset if they lose because they're playing a good Baltimore team. They're playing a good Tampa team. So I don't know. We're not used to this.
No, absolutely not.
So.
New territory.
Yep. All right. So, okay.
Next game.
The next game. We're getting there. Sorry, my phone went black, and now I got to reopen the scores. All right. The Los Angeles Rams got a 26-9 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. In a video by Kelly Stafford after the game, something happened with their car, and Matthew Stafford and her were like trying to fix their car. I don't know if a battery died or something. It was just funny. Like you see him and her holding her phone, videotaping him looking under the seat for a battery. I don't know, but it was. I hope they're all right. I hope they got home okay. But you'd think that for as much money as Stafford makes, they could afford a car that wouldn't die on them.
Or a good AAA membership.
Yeah, or somebody to valet them home. All right, and the other big game of the weekend, the New York Jets, how about this, got their first ever win against the Philadelphia Eagles in franchise history, 20-14. We caught the tail end of this game. That Jets defense is legit. I like this Jets defense. I've liked them since Hard Knocks. But that offense was what was questionable. And the Philadelphia Eagles just didn't seem to have it all there. They were up 14-0, I want to say. And they let the Jets come back and win. And Jalen Hurts making some very uncharacteristic mistakes that led to Jets points. Uh,
But I couldn't believe it when they said they'd never beaten Philly ever. Ever.
franchise history. I think they played 12 times in their franchise history,
Just
and
12 times? Oh,
I want to say that's what they said on the
okay.
broadcast.
But still, I mean, you would think that a team that's, the Jets have been around since 1960 when they were the New York Titans. But still, never, ever I've never heard that before. In all the years past, I've never heard the fact that Philadelphia's never beat. Maybe they've never beaten them on the road. Maybe they've never beaten them at home, but never beaten them ever anywhere. That is just, I can't believe it. I was
yeah,
so dumbfounded when I heard that. I'm like, you're kidding me. They never ever beaten this team.
I know it's absolutely crazy to think about that. You've never beat another franchise.
Right.
For as long as these teams have been in the league.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I just
You trying to look up how many
I'm
times?
like trying to pull up Pro Football Reference right
How
now.
many times they've played each other?
Yeah, because I just how far back? Like when was their first matchup against each other and all that. But yeah, I don't have the
Yeah.
time right
Well,
now to do it. But
whatever.
I mean, still, heck of a win by the Jets. I like their head coach. I like everything about their team except for their quarterback that's injured that still is getting headlines.
Yeah.
And apparently he was on Pat McAfee again talking about Dan Campbell and made me
He
mad.
just won't go away.
He won't go away. I hate Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I even messaged my buddy who's a Jets fan, and because they were at that point they were like trying to win the game, and I texted like, "Come on, Jets!" And they won the game. And I said, "I like a lot of stuff about your team. I just don't like Aaron Rodgers. I will
Never
pull,
have.
I will pull for the Jets, but if Aaron Rodgers is involved, I'm sorry.
No. They're dead to us.
Then now they'll be dead. I'm hoping Zach Wilson turns it around. I think he's starting to piece some stuff together, and the Jets might actually win a few more games than we kind of thought after Aaron Rodgers went down. I don't know if they'll get into the playoffs or not. Maybe they could squeak in.
I don't know.
That division's going to be tough. They still, you got a Miami and a Buffalo ahead of you.
Right.
The Patriots you can almost count out at this point. But again, the Lions were 1-6 last year and made a heck of a run at the end of the year. Didn't make it to the playoffs. So I'm going to keep that in mind with a lot of these 1-6 teams.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the 1-5 New York Giants almost beat the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills got the 14-9 win. Was that pass interference at the end of the game for against the Giants? Yes or no?
I didn't even see it.
You didn't see the play.
I don't.
Tight end Darren Waller in the back of the end zone, no time left, and he had a guy kind of looked like that play from the Lions Cowboys playoff game where the guy was kind of face guarding him. Well, he had an extra hand on the guy's jersey. Waller's going up for it, and they don't call it. I mean, I get being physical and like letting guys play, but at a crucial moment of the game, I feel like that should have been called.
I really believe that the NFL should institute a rule where you can challenge anything, like the CFL does. I mean,
They just need a better
if
system.
you seriously think that there was pass interference on a very, very crucial play, I mean,
on national television,
yes, on a play that could change the outcome of the game, yes, you should be able to challenge that and say, I think there was pass interference.
even
on
with
that
no
play.
time left. I mean,
Please take a look at it. If I'm wrong, fine. If not, we want the ball back.
I think it's more. I think what they need to do, and it needs to be this way across the. I think maybe do what the CFL does. Get rid of 2 challenges per team. Give them 1 challenge per half. So I guess that's still technically 2 challenges, but maybe you only get 1 per half. But I think they do need a more like XFL style review system.
An expedited review. How many times have you heard that lately? Oh, this was an expedited review by the booth, so we have a quick
That's
answer.
what we talked about.
Why can't you do that on all the plays?
Right, and it should count. I know they had problems with the pass interference one a couple years ago when they made that a rule, and it didn't work. Get rid of it. Yeah, because the officials wanted it to fail. But I do think that the NFL has to have a command center, and they do have one. They just need to be a lot more involved. They need to be 0 seconds on the clock. Was that pass interference? We are going to answer that question right now, unbiasedly. And you go through the steps. Okay, yep, he's grabbing the guy's jersey. The other player wasn't, I don't know, he was kind of not defenseless, but I think there's a way that you get that room of guys or gals, whoever in the league, make that call.
The command center should have the ability to stop a game and say, we want to look at this play. This is too important of a play. There's a little bit of a controversy here. We want to look at it from a different angle before we proceed. That's all they need.
It's like the NFL is like you're willing to do all this other stuff, but you're not willing to enhance and make
To
sure
get the game right.
to get the game right. You're doing like everything but trying to make the game right. I get it. Your officials aren't going to always make the right call. That's why you're going to need
Right.
you have your command
It's
center
too
right there.
fast. The
Yes.
game's too fast. The officials are getting too old to see everything, and even the best officials are not going to catch everything. That's why you've got the
Yeah.
eye in the sky, the command center, the refs in the booth, to look at these things because it's way too fast. It just there needs to be a change.
There needs to be a change. All right, Buffalo gets the 14-9 win. And finally, Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys got the 2017 win over the Chargers. I was not impressed by either team.
No, they both looked kind of bad.
But I feel bad for the Superchargers fan that was making all the.
I saw her. I saw her when they showed her for the first time live on TV, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Who is it? Is she some celebrity or something?" But they just picked her out of the crowd. Yeah, I think she was in a luxury box or something.
Maybe.
So I don't know if she was somebody's
But
wife.
she was.
I haven't seen a name, but she's a meme now.
Yeah. Oh, she's all over the place. Yeah, screaming, crying. Like,
Did you see the one where they showed her and then they did the old SpongeBob a few minutes later?
I have not seen that one, but
it shows her crying. And...
I did see like the range of emotions of being a Chargers fan. I saw the meme of still a bigger football fan than Taylor Swift. I saw all the memes. But all right, that's it for the NFL scoreboard. The Steelers, Packers on by this week.
Yeah, where are we at? About 45 minutes right
we
now?
are 31 minutes in, and we're now going to move on to the Canadian Football League. Sorry to keep you waiting, Canada. All right, our first game we're going to talk about Friday night saw the British Columbia Lions defeat the Hamilton Tiger Cats 33-30. How about that?
Yeah.
British Columbia quarterback Vernon Adams completed 21 passes for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Alexander Hollins had 7 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. Hamilton quarterback Matthew Schultz and Bo Levi Mitchell combined to complete 27 passes for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Tim White had 7 catches for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Ticats.
I admit I did not see any of the games this weekend. I normally go through the highlight package and watch those, but I didn't even get around to do that this weekend. So I'm not sure why Matthew Schultz and Bo Levi Mitchell had to split their time. I'm thinking that maybe Matthew Schultz might have gotten injured, and that's why Bo Levi Mitchell came in. I'm not sure, and I apologize for not knowing that fact, but. Yeah, I just didn't get around to it this week. Really, the only drama to me in the CFL right now is who's going to get that last playoff spot.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
Yep.
And
it got a little closer this week, but still no resolution.
Yep. All right. Then Saturday, the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Edmonton Elks 35-21. Cody Fajardo, Montreal's quarterback, completed 23 passes for 258 yards and a touchdown, while kicker Jose Carlos Maltos made 5 field goals. Say that 5 times fast. Edmonton quarterback Trey Ford, our favorite player in the CFL right now, after Chad Kelly, mind you, had 21 passes for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 47 yards. Wide receiver for Edmonton, Kyron Moore, had 5 catches for 44 yards and 2 touchdowns.
You passed over the other Friday night game, Calgary and...
Oh, whoops. Okay, yeah, I was scrolling down and I saw Friday and kept thinking it was the last one. Jumping back to Friday, the Calgary Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 2 teams fighting for that final playoff spot. Maybe I was doing that for drama. I don't know. Maybe that was subconscious. The Stampeders got the 26-19 victory. Calgary quarterback Jake Mayer completed 17 passes for 184 yards and a touchdown. Saskatchewan quarterback Jake Dolagala completed 23 passes for 272 yards, no touchdowns. Running back Jamal Morrow ran the ball for 86 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Sean Bain had 103 receiving yards for the Rough Riders. And we'll talk about the standings in a second, but
yeah, we still got another game to go here, but
yeah. I know, but they're the 2 teams fighting out for that final playoff spot.
Calgary helped their situation.
Yes, they did. And like I said, we'll get to the standings here in a moment. We got to finish by talking about the defending Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts defeating the Ottawa Red Blacks 40-27. Take it easy, champ. Save it for the playoffs. Toronto quarterback Chad Kelly completed 18 passes for 287 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Devarius Daniels had 6 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown, while Ottawa quarterback Dustin Crum completed 13 passes for 183 yards and a touchdown. Running back Devontae Williams had 125 yards rushing and a touchdown for the Red Blacks as well. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on a bye this week.
Hmm.
All right, and before my throat goes dry, we're going to talk about the CFL standings real quick. In the East, no seed changes as we get ready for the playoffs. It'll be the Toronto Argonauts at the first seed in the East with a 14-2 record, followed by the 10-7 Montreal Alouettes, who clinched the playoff spot in, I believe, the home playoff game.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that's not official. But then in third, you have the Hamilton Tiger Cats at 8-9. Fourth place, out of the playoffs, Ottawa Red Blacks, 4-13. Where it gets interesting is over in the West. The Blue Bombers, after a bye, still 12-4. The British Columbia Lions did clinch a home playoff game. They are at 12-5. So it'll still come down to them and the Blue Bombers to who will get the number 1 seed. So there's that playoff drama coming up. Then the Saskatchewan Roughriders, despite losing, are in the third spot right now with a 6-11 record, followed by the Calgary Stampeders, who improved their odds with a 5-11 record now. And then the Edmonton Elks out of the playoffs with a 4-13 record. So we shall see how the CFL shapes up here with only a couple weeks left.
Yeah, just 2 weeks left in the regular season. Yep. All right, we're going to move on to some FBS college scores. This was week 7 in college football. It was number 1 Georgia improving to 7-0, defeating Vanderbilt 37-20. It was number 2 Michigan improving to 7-0 with their win over Indiana 52-7.
And for you eagle-eyed viewers out there, if you would have watched that Indiana sideline and seen a very handsome gentleman holding up a white sign behind the coaches on the sideline there for Indiana, where I think they hold up the signs for the players to look at. Somebody holds a white sign behind that so that they can see. That handsome young devil happens to be our family member. Nathan, looked good out there, kid. I saw you on the TV.
Yeah,
I was watching that Michigan game.
I knew that my brother Bob, his grandfather, was watching the game, and I asked if he'd seen him because I caught the game late, and I asked him, texted him and said, "Have you seen him on the sidelines?" And he sends me a video of him and a picture. Yeah. So, yep, he's getting himself on TV. So, yep. Way to go, Nathan.
Handsome devil, that
right
dude.
Place, right time.
Yep.
Okay, where was I?
Number 3.
Number 3, Ohio State improved to 6-0 with a win over Purdue, 41-7. Number 4, Florida State at 6-0 over Syracuse, 41-3. It was number 6, Penn State improving to 6-0 with a shutout of Massachusetts, 63-0. Number 21, Notre Dame upset number 10, USC, 48-20. Pittsburgh upset number 14, Louisville, 38-21. Arizona upset number 19, Washington State, 44-6. Oklahoma State upset number 23, Kansas, 39-32. Missouri upset number 24, Kentucky, 38-21. It was Rutgers over Michigan, 27-24. I'm sorry, Michigan State. Michigan State is just, ever since all these scandals have been coming out, man, it's really making them look bad. Let's see. Stanford over Colorado, 46-43 in double overtime. Colorado was up 29-0 at halftime in this game. This was a Friday night game, and I did not see this game. You know how much I like watching Colorado, and I don't know what I was doing Friday night, but I either didn't know it was on or what, but I missed this game, and it sounds like it was extremely exciting the way Stanford came out of nowhere to scratch their way to overtime and then win it in overtime.
It's not the only thing you missed, but we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It was Miami of Ohio over our Western Michigan Broncos here in Kalamazoo, 34-21. Iowa over Wisconsin, 15-6, and I only included that because I wondered if that was a scoregami score, 15-6. And San Jose State over New Mexico, 52-24.
Wow. Okay, hold on. San Jose State over New Mexico made it onto the scoreboard. And
because they scored 52 points.
And the game of the weekend didn't even make the cut.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about number 7 Washington defeating number 8 Oregon 36-33 in the absolute craziest, most fun college football game I have watched in a very long time.
I didn't see that game.
I know you didn't see this game.
Tell me about it.
But I'm still bamboozled why this wasn't even on the list. Look.
Well, if a higher seed beats a lower seed, who cares? That's what you're supposed to do. That's why I concentrate on the upsets.
I get that, but you're going through. You had, let's see, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
You do the top 4 because that's your playoff teams.
Yes, but
the top 4 is a given.
It's not even mention the game of the weekend. I mean, 2 ranked teams going at it. I mean, Oregon was down going into the half. They made a really...
Neither one of them are making the playoffs, so what difference does it make?
I don't know. After some of the stuff that's happened, Washington, both these teams could still make it to the playoff. That's how good these two teams are. And despite losing, Oregon's not getting knocked down that far down the polls. These are two future Big Ten teams. They showed, oh man, it was a great atmosphere. The Washington Huskies play a really tough game, but Oregon also hung in there. Oregon did some great stuff. It was just a great game to watch. Big plays both sides of the ball for both teams. It was unbelievable. It's been a while since I sat down and watched a college football game. It was just that enthralled, and it wasn't like a 52-7 drubbing of Indiana by Michigan, which I also watched. It's just, I mean, yeah, it's fun because I'm from Michigan. I'm not a Michigan University fan, but I will root for all the Michigan colleges.
Sure, yeah.
And I was just like, dang, this ain't. I mean, it's fun to an extent because I'm like, oh wow, look at the home state team, beating up on this other team. This is fun. But then to watch the Oregon game, unbelievable. Just absolutely a great game. If nobody caught that or any of the highlights, what are you doing? I'm mainly talking to Randy. Great highlights. Go check them out.
I'm too busy looking at scores from every level of football in the country.
But if you are a fan, there was NFL talent across that field. I think both those quarterbacks are both talented. I'm not saying they're like day one, but those are guys I'd be like, watch out for them in like the second, third round. If I'm not sure what their standing is in college, like are they juniors, freshmen? I don't know. But if they had the talent, that I'd be like, I'd draft that guy third, fourth round. Shoot, I bet you he'd be a good prospect. And then several great receivers. I think Washington had a couple of great receivers, make some great snags. Oregon's always got talent. So it was just, I don't know, it just had everything. It had drama. It had, it came down to the end of the game. Like, it was just unbelievable. That's what you want out of college football.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Packed stadium that once they got done, all the purple fans, just rush in the field. That's what you want. That's what college football is all about. That game lived up to the hype this week.
Okay. Let's see. In the military academies, Navy shut out UNC Charlotte 14-0. Troy shut out Army 19-0. And Air Force improved to 6-0 with a win over Wyoming 34-27. Now that game I did watch.
Of course,
I watched pretty much all of the Air Force games. I love Air Force, of course. Spending time in the Air Force like I did. I've always root for Air Force, and it was fun to watch them.
If anybody can hook Randy up with tickets to go see an Air Force game at the Air Force Academy,
so bad.
Help him out.
As a military retiree, I can stay on base somewhere. I do believe that. Yes, I looked into that. They do have a Air Force Inns where I could stay on base.
Do it.
Even your mom said she would actually go to she said she'd go to the
hotel
academy, which I don't know if she'd go to the game or not, but she was watching part of that game with me, and it was kind of fun. So anyway, moving on to the FCS level. From here on, it's just two random scores I picked out, either because I like the school name or it was a weird score. So I'm not playing favorites. I do have some favorite teams at these different levels, so I try to mention those. But anyway, at the FCS level, Brown over Princeton, 28-27 in overtime, and Villanova shut out Elon, 21-0. In Division II, it was Kutztown over Shippensburg, 9-6 in overtime. Boy, I bet you that was a real barn burner for everybody who was there. Also in Division II, Michigan Tech shut out Northern Michigan, 62-0. In Division III, it was Kalamazoo College over Adrian, 45-23. And North Central of Illinois over Milken, 75-3. At the NAIA level, it was St. Francis of Indiana over Lawrence Tech, 56-7. And Ottawa University of Arizona shut out Arkansas Baptist College, get this, 83-0. In junior college scores, it was Snow College improving to 5-2 with a shutout of St. George Junior College by the score of 58-0. And Holmes over Itawamba, 28-26. Now we go up to Canada for some college football. U Sports up there, their version of the NCAA. It was Carleton squeaking by Waterloo 31-30. And Montreal shut out Laval 28-0. And finally, the Canadian Junior Football League, the London Beef Eaters defeated the Hamilton Hurricanes 50-7. And the Saskatoon Hilltops over the Calgary Colts 53-2. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
Oof. Oh, man, yeah, we spent a lot of time on games this week.
Well, that's all the time we got for this week.
Yeah, I mean the news is very short, so we're gonna fly through the news here.
It kind of reminds me of
Yeah, what up with
what
that?
up with
God,
that?
I saw
Well,
that coming.
we out of time. Yeah, NFL news.
I hate that you think you're that funny.
In NFL news, well, this isn't really NFL news, but flag football has officially been added to the 2028 LA Olympics, as well as cricket, lacrosse, squash, baseball, and softball. We talked about this a little bit last week, but at the time it wasn't official. I think they voted either today or yesterday. The International Olympic Committee officially voted to include all those sports for the 2028 games. So now it is official. And my question is, who's going to make up this flag football team for the United States to play other countries? Is it going to be NFL players? I've been watching some of the shows like Good Morning Football and some of the other, Pro Football Talk and all these other ones, and they're all saying that a lot of current NFL players want to be on the flag football team in the Olympics. Maybe a few former NFL players. Are we going to have NFL players? They're already talking dream team, like with Jordan in the Olympics with Barkley and all those other guys. Is it going to be college players? Are they going to get some college players to make up these teams? Are they going to go with indoor and arena players? I think the Arena League's already suggested that they might get involved in that. So who knows what's going to happen? But I stand by what I said last week. I don't really give a crap if this is in the Olympics or not. I think it's kind of ridiculous myself, but oh man, it's just getting all the attention. Oh, flag football is going to be in the Olympics. Who cares? I don't like. I think it's stupid. It's like what's that one? BMX biking was in the Olympics there for a while.
Yeah.
These are stupid sports. Stick with the stuff that's made the Olympics what it is from the days of the Greeks. Wrestling and archery,
getting mauled by bulls, or
yeah, fighting a lion
real
for a slab of
sports.
meat. Well, but yeah, I'm not a fan of flag football in the Olympics. I mean, I think flag football is good for kids to learn the game. It's like soccer, all you kids played soccer when you were growing up. Soccer still, to me, has not really caught on in this country. It's very much a niche sport.
I wouldn't go that far. I think it's definitely got a bigger stance in the country than you definitely used to. I mean, now we got Major League Soccer. Messi's coming over
to
the United States. I think it's big, but it's not like gonna crack the interest beyond football, baseball, basketball.
They've been
hockey.
saying that for 20 or 30 years that it's getting big. It's still not big.
It's still 5. It's below the other 4 sports. It's probably number 5. Pickleball is probably sniffing its butt at 6. But other than that, no. Look, so are they going to do men and women's flag football? Because I
don't know.
I've heard stories of like the European women's flag football.
Yeah,
is pretty popular over there. They have a really good team apparently.
They might, but I have not heard that. Now
I'm wondering about that.
I did hear when they're talking baseball and softball, they made it sound like it would be men's baseball and women's softball.
Yeah.
So they got one of each. So I don't know if they'll have men's and women's flag football teams or not. You would think that they would.
Or that you could do co-ed. I mean, it's flag. It's not like they're having to go out and tackle. It's
right.
It's fast.
Yep.
It's fast. It's
being able to catch, run, and avoid somebody.
You know how many female athletes could probably go out there and still snag a flag off of a player?
Yeah.
So,
sure.
I mean, that wouldn't shock me, but now I'm wondering if they're going to do a men's and a women's flag football, which...
That would be my guess, but I don't know.
I would assume.
I haven't heard that.
But we'll find out. And look, if it were me, how would... Okay, flag football, look, I think it's fun to an extent, but if you're going to make it an Olympic sport, let's at least make it interesting. Let's not put Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill out there. Nobody's ever going to stop him.
Right.
It's done.
Right.
Tyreek Hill's too fast, and Patrick Mahomes is going to throw a pass we've probably never seen before in our lives.
Right.
What they need to do is maybe just for the Americans, just because, I get it, it's in America and they want to put the best athletes out there, but because it's America and we're all hoity-toity and we think football is the best sport on the planet, which it is, maybe we need to put some of the Joe Schmoes out there, the dudes who think they could still go out there. Oh yeah, I could go out there and hang 20 points on Patrick Mahomes. I could do that.
Uncle Rico.
I sent Uncle Rico out there to throw it over them mountains. Put me those guys out there where they go to the sideline, they down a can of Coors, and they go back out there looking like Burt Reynolds. I mean, just give me that. Give me something. I'm just like, who are these average Joe's gym dudes?
Right.
Who are these Vince Vaughn looking mother truckers coming out to play flag football against uh, the Ben Stiller looking purple cobras of the other team playing flag football? And if you want to make a movie that's like a spiritual sequel to Dodgeball, here you go. This is where it's at. You got till 2028 to make a underdog movie about a flag football team going to the Olympics. Get on it before the real story happens.
I did think about this. Uh, I hated it last year when they had flag football in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
So maybe that was their way of saying, okay, this is going to be an Olympic sport someday. So we gotta get these players used to playing flag football. And here's your indoctrination. I think having flag football in the Olympics is bad enough. I'm not a fan of it. But if you throw in, some of the best players in the NFL at the time to stack the deck so that you win the gold, that makes it even worse.
Oh, okay. I just figured it out. Here's what you do. No NFL players, no players that have ever played football. Well, I mean, they probably played football. But no professional football players. If you're an Olympic athlete, guess what? It's like a draft. You draft, say, United States, you're going to draft a different player from each sport. You're going to draft a swimmer. You're going to draft a luger. You're going to draft a basketball player. You're going to draft, what's another sport they do in the Olympics? Probably a pickleball player. You're going to draft, what's another sport they do on the reg?
Judo.
Track star, judo star, and you put them all on one flag football team. You teach them the rules 5 minutes before the game starts, and you just have them go. That's what. And then France and Nicaragua and all these other countries, they do the exact same thing, and just let it happen.
I don't think they should let NFL.
You telling me you don't want to see Usain Bolt come out there and play flag football? You telling me you don't want Michael Phelps just come out in his Speedo and play flag football? I'm sure some of you want that. Maybe I don't want to see that, but there are probably people out there who would love to see that. And you have to wear, and I think here's the other catch, you have to wear all the medals you've ever won at the Olympics while you play flag football. You got to make it interesting. Flag football, I don't know if it'll work, but at least make it kind of fun to watch. Make it a train wreck.
And there's Mark Spitz in the end zone rattling his medals to let the quarterback know he's wide open.
There you go. We've solved the Olympics flag football problem.
Yeah, no, I don't
You're welcome,
I don't
America.
think they should let NFL players into this. It wouldn't be fair. I think college players, college players would be fine, and maybe arena players.
I think the arena players
and indoor
they have
players.
some sort of agreement. I'd like to see where that's going because remember the arena football commissioner talked about back when we were listening to Tim Capper's AFL Rewind podcast about maybe you'll see some Olympic action, and we weren't sure what he meant at the time. And now that we're here, gotta connect those two dots.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a fan of flag football in the Olympics. Okay, moving on. Some CFL news. Edmonton Elks are going to be closing the upper portion of their stadium to give fans a better experience. This tells me we can't sell enough tickets, and so let's bring those people from the upper deck down here so they get a better view. And I think I read somewhere that if they were to sell out the lower bowl, then they would open up the upper deck seats, which makes sense. But once Edmonton starts winning, I think they're going to be filling up that stadium.
I'm sure they will too.
In the years to come.
So I mean,
Trey Ford is just at the beginning of his career, and I think he's going to do great things.
This is
up there
standard football team. In a bad era where they can't get their fans to come out. It's, well, let's save costs. We're going to shut down this section.
Right.
That way we don't have to turn on the concession stand lights. We can save a few bucks that way.
Right.
That's a few less hot dog vendors we got to pay. It's.
And there's only two games left. I don't know if Edmonton has 2 home games left, or if they're have 1 out of the 2. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know. I think we've seen professional teams do that where they'll like kind of section off just a couple of areas. Like,
right.
Oh, well, we're not really selling these tickets, so let's just put the cool banners over the seats.
Right. Well, when we went to the USFL game, I think the end zones were pretty much there was nobody in the end zone, so it was just people on both sides.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if the upper decks were open. I think they might have been. I don't know. But
probably certain sections.
Yeah, but I know the whole lower bowl was not sold out, so who knows? But I just thought that was interesting that they were making that announcement that they were going to be closing the upper bowl, and I just assume that's maybe just for the rest of this season. We'll see how next season goes. Maybe they'll start out that way and see how the team's going, and hopefully they'll do better next year, and Trey Ford will set the CFL on fire next season.
Metaphorically, please.
Yeah. We do have some arena and indoor news. The National Arena League released their schedule today. It's going to be a 13-week regular season beginning March 14th and ending on June 9th. There was no word on the playoff format or dates or championship game or anything. That's
They're
coming
probably
in
waiting to
later
come up
date.
with that on the fly.
Well,
I mean, they could lose a few teams like they did last year. Why would you get your hopes
Yeah.
up? I mean, by the time they got to the playoffs, they lost 2 or 3 of their teams. So
could be.
who knows if another Antonio Brown's going to emerge as one of these ownership groups.
But anyway, they also added. Well, the reason they were able to put out their schedule is because they finally came up with an 8th team for next year, and that was announced just yesterday. The Oklahoma Flying Aces are the 8th team to be added to the National Arena League. They last played in Champions Indoor Football in 2021, and I knew I had heard this name somewhere. I saw the logo, the airplane with like the little smiley face. So I knew the team from somewhere. So yeah, they've been dormant for the last 2 years, but they're coming back with the National Arena League this year. So you're going to have the Flying Aces, you're going to have the North Texas Bulls, the Sioux City Bandits, Omaha Beef, Carolina Cobras, Topeka Tropics, Colorado Spartans, and the Idaho Horsemen as your 8 teams for the 2024 National Arena League season. So I wish them all luck, and I'm assuming they're still going to be playing with the Nets, that's part of the National Arena League now. So that should be a good setup. A lot of these teams, came from the CIF this year or other leagues. So yeah, there's been a big turnover in all the different leagues.
Yeah.
AFL is absorbing some teams from other leagues, and been a big switch in some of the other leagues.
NAL teams jumping ship over to the Arena League and to the indoor football. It's been a wild summer.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up with it on some spreadsheets, and as I hear about a new team, I'll add that team to the next one. So I don't have them all complete yet. This is the first league that's like, all right, these are our 8 teams for next year.
Well, when you're ready to do that video where we talk about the teams hopping leagues.
Oh, man, I can't even I barely can keep track of where they are now as opposed to where they came from to get here to this league. So we'll see. All right, today's birthdays and anniversaries for October 17th. We have 2 Hall of Famers to talk about. The first one is Coach Don Coryell. Born on this date in 1924, he passed away in 2010 at the age of 85. He was an assistant coach at USC in 1960 and was the head coach at San Diego State from 1961 to 1972. He was also the head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals in the NFL from 1973 to 1977 and is most famous as the head coach of the San Diego Chargers from 1978 to 1986. He was the NFL Coach of the Year in 1984, and his offense was known as Air Coryell because of the passing ability of Dan Fouts. What a great offense that was to watch. And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame just this year with the class of 2023. The other Hall of Famer is Ralph Wilson Jr., the former owner of the Buffalo Bills. Born on this date in 1918, and he passed away in 2014 at the age of 95. He was an original member of the Foolish Club, the 8 owners that founded the AFL. He was formerly a minority owner of the Detroit Lions before he became the sole owner of the Buffalo Bills.
And for those of you listening, he means the American Football League.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I get it. We use AFL because there's the Arena Football League. But when you go back that far, we might have to make sure say it's the American Football League.
And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2009. All right, we have 2 obituaries to talk about this week. This is where we take a moment and honor those who made the world of football a better place. First one is Walt Garrison, a running back in the NFL for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 79. Garrison played college football at Oklahoma State and was selected in the 5th round of the 1966 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys. He was also selected in the 17th round of the 1966 American Football League Draft by the Kansas City Chiefs. He signed with the Cowboys and played his entire career in Dallas from 1966 to 1974. He won Super Bowl VI as a member of the Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys, that is.
Yeah.
All right, and then our final obituary this week is that of Ron East, a defensive lineman in the NFL and the World Football League, has passed away at the age of 80. East played college football at Montana State. He then signed as a free agent with the Dallas Cowboys in 1967 and played for the team through 1970. He also played for the San Diego Chargers from 1971 to 1973, the Hawaiians of the World Football League in 1974, the Cleveland Browns in 1975, the Atlanta Falcons in 1976, and the Seattle Seahawks in 1977. East was inducted into the Northwest Athletic Conference Hall of Fame in 1994 and the Montana State University Hall of Fame in 1999.
All right, a couple of upcoming events. Saturday, October 28th, the CFL regular season comes to an end, so we'll know by then which team, either the Saskatchewan Roughriders or Calgary Stampeders, are going to get that last playoff spot in the East, in the West. And then the other upcoming event, Monday night, October 30th, the Raiders at the Lions Monday Night Football game. We will be there.
We will be there.
All right. Anything else that we want to talk about before we close the show out?
As of right now, I'm not seeing any breaking news. I haven't seen anything about any arena football announcements. They've usually been doing one every couple of days. Nothing this week so far.
It's been quiet for the last week on the arena football.
Yeah, so sure that'll happen tonight as soon as I turn off the microphone.
Yeah, we're recording a little bit early today on a Tuesday afternoon. So, yeah, all hell will break loose the minute we stop recording. All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. It's not just NFL, everybody.
Unless you're listening to this show, then literally a half hour spent talking NFL.
Yeah, it's not all NFL, but that's what we talk about the most anyway. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
Like the World of Football on Facebook. Follow us on X. The address for that is @TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also find our new Instagram page. Just go search for TWOF Kalamazoo there as well. New episodes of this very podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show over on our YouTube channel, where we post a lot of other great content, and be on the lookout for some more stuff this week. If you haven't been subscribing to that, why not? Come on now. We do a lot of fun stuff over there, and we love getting your interactions there. So just search for the World of Football in the search bar there, or go to youtube.com/@theworldoffootball to find us. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment on any platform you're listening to us on, whether it's the podcast feed, YouTube, wherever, LinkedIn, Yelp, Grubhub, whatever apps you got. If we're there, you can like us. And please come be a part of the football conversation.
And don't forget to let us know where you're listening to us from, whether you're in another country or somewhere in the United States. We want to know where you're at. Just we're not stalkers or nothing, but we just
need whatever town and whatever state or whatever country. That's fine. We don't need to know that you're on the toilet. We don't need to know that you're at the library. We don't need to know you're at the grocery store or you're at a Benihana. We don't need to know.
Yeah, don't tell us you're poop scrolling while you're listening to our podcast.
Do I got a poop scrolling story for you? Do we got time?
No, we do not. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do.
Or poop scrolling.
But nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us right here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I've been poop scrolling this entire time.
You have not. You're such a liar. We'll see you all next week.